In 1871, Darwin published The Descent of Man.
Yo ho ho ho! I just published my book, The Descent of Man. It's about evolution. And guess what? I used the word evolution in this book for the very first time. It is quite cheap at only 24 shillings. Order now before it goes over 2,000 shillings on eBay.
The Descent of Man hardly received any outcries from the church and other naturalists.
Mivart and his absurd hypothesis against natural selection. My theory makes so much sense.
Mivart minimized the contribution of natural selection, and believed the appearance of a new species was due from individualization, and denied the evolution of human intellect, insisting it was conferred by divine power. The sixth edition of Origin of Species is about the scientific theory that populations evolve over the course of generations.
While I was on holiday in 1872, I finished up proofs for my book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. By November 1872, I sold an outstanding 5,000 copies of this book.
In the fall of 1873, Darwin started working on the second edition of Descent of Man, with several important corrections with three parts instead of two. It also compares the human brain to apes. In 1874, Darwin refuses to go to his brother's funeral because Darwin believes that "the Lord have mercy on all of us" is rubbish. Darwin's good friend Charles Lyell passes in 1875. Darwin is really sad, but he does not let it hinder him as he produces another book, Insectivorous Plants.
I'm going to start my own diary for my children and future grandchildren to see.
His first grandchild is born to Amy and Francis Darwin. Although Amy unfortunately passes during childbirth, her husband, Francis, takes the role of secretary and botanical assistant for Darwin.
I have received my doctorate from Cambridge University. This is one of the most proudest moments of my life.
Darwin spends 6 months working on his grandfather's biography, Erasmus Darwin, and publishes it. The Movements and Habits of Climbing Plants is completed and sent to John Murray for publication.
My life work is now complete. There's nothing left to challenge me. My wife and daughter took me out on a holiday trip, and yet it did nothing to make me feel better.
Darwin's brother Erasmus passes and was buried in St. Mary's Church in the village of Down.
My brother passes along with a part of me as well. I'm depressed. I guess I'm going to start my will and maybe write another book.
Darwin publishes the formation of vegetable mold through the actions of worms with the observations on their habits.
I'm starting to feel these weird chest pains. I wonder what could it be?
He goes to the doctor the next day, but appears to be fine. In a few months, Darwin experiences random but frequent chest pains, seizures, and heart troubles, and in April of 1882 he received a violent attack, and Emma feared he was near death and called a doctor. The doctor said he couldn't indicate any issues. He was fine, and left. The day after, Darwin died at 4 p.m. at Down House. On April 20, 1882, Darwin was arranged to be buried at St. Mary's Church in the village of Down. Francis Galton asked the president of the Royal Society if he could get the consent for Darwin to be buried at Westminster Abbey in London. John Lubbock went to Parliament to petition the burial. The petition was easily granted.
Created using Powtoon.